from the old. I used to love that movie. I still love that movie.
Oh yeah, dude, it's great. It's like the ultimate underdog wins movie, right?
I mean, to the fullest.
Right, like that's totally what it is. But it's like, I don't know. It's
that movie was almost inspirational as a kid. You know, like it was hilarious and everything, but it was these guys they built themselves up and made themselves badass.
Yeah.
With the violin.
Yeah. I think that's the inspiration for all the cool violin stuff going on now, right? Like that was like kind of like this like thought seed that went out there that violin could be cool. Now we have girls with like, you know.
Maybe Lindsay Sterling was always inspired by the Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
Violin scene.
Let's see. Okay, make it work on hardware. Polish. Well, they'll just call it the polish phase. The polish phase is a loop. When you get to polish, it's basically, okay, art and interactivity go hand in hand, right? So every time you change the art, you have to test to make sure that it still functions the same, it feels the same. So, you know, if I changed Satan into an anthropomorphic beaver or like, you know, or like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, it changes the whole feel of the game, right? So you have to test that that's going to feel right. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, even if it's an art piece, this polish phase is basically the melding of all of those things. It's like you have to make sure that everything is working together. So art, and you know, your tech, your scripting, your programming, you know, the design and interaction are all going together. And this is actually, you know, by order of difficulty, it's top to bottom, right? Here, let me actually make this, we'll go this way. Is get it working is the easiest part, right? And you're going to feel like, you're like, oh man, that's like 60, 70% of what I'm doing. It's actually maybe 5 to 10%. Make it look right. That's like another significant amount, but you know, it's not the most. Polish is probably the longest, hardest phase. It can be, right? So,
because I mean, you're talking about everything at that moment, right? I mean, this is ready to go to market kind of thing, and I mean, it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, we can break this up. Like on larger projects, this actually gets broken up in a totally different sort of setup,
it's a
right?
List.
Yeah, it's well, kind of a different list, but like you have to coordinate other people, right? But as long as we're just talking about like 1 or 2 man sort of a things, it's basically let's get it working, let's make it look right, you know. And you go through these phases, and then you go like, okay, now let's make it work correctly. So I want it to work on like this. Now let's get it to work on hardware. So like it's slowly building, like, you know, the recipe. Then you taste it. You get it going, and then the polish phase is basically where you agonize over making sure it's 100% correct.
Or you think that the art style might have to change all over, and maybe the tone of things, right? I mean,
totally.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we'll go through this. I'll refer back to this kind of as we go. Anyway, let's go back to Unity.
I still think the devil needs to be the game show host from Smash TV. I think it would be perfect.
Oh, I totally agree. He needs to be big money, big prizes. Yeah.
You need to remake that one. Just put that one in 3D graphics.
Yeah, I will. Actually, I was wondering. Well, here we'll get to that. 2D and 3D, I'll worry about later, right? Like we'll do that when we get to the polish phase, because I have a feeling you're right, but. I have to be very disciplined about this stuff, because what ends up happening is like I'll take something like that and I'll go, yeah, he should be 3D, and then I'll totally sideline on trying to get a 3D Satan, right? And it, like, which is the whole reason I put these phases in Keynote, right? Which is like, let's just get it working. If you focus on that, we can be done like pretty fast. So let's start getting it working. And in fact, I won't worry too much about aesthetics, but I want to make sure all the pieces are there at some point. So, you know...
I'll ask questions as you're doing it, you know?
Okay, so the next step is going to be, let's actually, you know, clearly, right here, well, let's talk about this a little bit. This isn't the game, right? This isn't the interaction we want, right?
No, that's just colors, yeah.
Right, but it's also I'm hitting the space bar.
Right.
Not tapping them. So let's talk about the flow that we want. We basically want to pick a door, right? Tap it, it opens, and then we get presented with 3 more doors, right? The rewards we can deal with in a minute. But let's do that first. So let's do, I tap a door, it turns 90 degrees. Because that's gonna present us with a couple of like total structural pieces that we're gonna have to get to. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this, and there's one thing there's a super important lesson that you get right here. Let's open up the uScript editor. So you see down here on the bottom right, it says Project Graphs, and I've got this one here. It says Twitch Doors Test, and the scene is the door test. So the structure of my scripts right now is basically I have one script that controls everything, right? So what we can do is in this one script that controls everything, I'm going to be very pedantic about this because there's a flip here. You can have more than one of these scripts. Let's add.
Is that just right-click add?
Yep, I'm going to hit right-click, add, events, right? Input events, right? Mouse cursor events. Oh, hey, look at that. This is if the cursor passes over things, right?
Okay.
Let's do this, and then I'm going to do something like instead of just to sort of show that we've got mouse interaction, let's do this piece of code because I'm not going to. I did Command C and I did this. I clicked this, Shift, right? Just like sort of other things to add to selection. Right click, copy, and paste. But I did Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V. On mouse enter, set random color. We'll do whatever this target color is on this target. Make sure that these links are hooked up because sometimes you can't select these individually, or you can, but you can't add them sort of like with a shift. So if I copy and paste now, I'll get all the links. But if I do like I did, I won't get the links. You have to link everything back up. Okay.
So is it better to click and drag if you can? I would say
It depends on how organized you are and how spaghetti your code looks like. Because you sometimes.
That's what I figured. How crazy it got.
Yeah, because sometimes it gets a little crazy. I tried to do.
Does this also need to link the white from set random color?
Yes.
Is that also?
Hey, good visual catch. I was just linking the stuff vertically above. I usually try and organize these nodes too, so that I can more easily see those links, right? Because I want those sort of arms to be equidistant, or at least be node.
I have to say, you explaining this 1 week last week and this versus this week, I see this a lot better now for some reason. I mean, maybe it's just exposure to it.
Maybe. I'm sort of. It's just exposure. It just takes, like, as you start to go through it, you know, it's like learning a language, right? Like, I'm speaking this other language, and you're just hearing it more because I'm sort of leading you, like, sort of in an organized manner through the process. Yeah. Like, you can write this as English, right? When the mouse cursor enters the this location, then set the random color, assign the material color. Okay. We're gonna run into a couple of issues here. So I just hit save, and it. Oh, whoops! No, hold on. Cancel. By the way, you can't. If you Command S here, it'll save your project, not this window.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Okay.
So there's no quick key to save.
No, just
or uScript.
No, and I learned that the hard way a couple of times. Of like, why isn't my shit changing colors? Right? Because it didn't compile. So, like, when you save it, it compiles all of these so that you can run.
That was my next question, actually.
Yeah. Nothing's going on, right? I sort of did this intentionally because I wanted you to.
It was all supposed to be mouse overs, right?
Yeah, but now we have to get back to it, right? So I did it a little bit intentionally. So it's mouse over, but mouse over what? Right, so
Oh right, yeah.
There's no sort of thing going on there, right?
So we have to connect it to the door.
Yeah, we have to find a way to say, you're entering something, do this thing. I think what I want to do is instead of having it on the uScript instance, right? Let's tell it that we want it to be this door. Let's see if that works.
So you just right-clicked and clicked on the door for the object?
Yeah, let me go through this again. So down here in the bottom left is the properties for this thing. Incidentally, this is actually nowhere near what we're going to do for final. I'm just, like, I wanted to illuminate a couple of, like, logic problems for us and problem solving, right? So mouse cursor events. Well, because one of my main goals from this is I want to teach you how to fish, not just how to do step 1, step 2, step 3, right? So I want you to understand how to figure things out on your own. And all you really need to do is start to learn the process by which you find things, right? Or sort of understand things. So on mouse cursor, enter, let's call it mouse over instead of enter because we don't have like a trigger there yet. Let's call it door 1. And down here it says game object. Which game object? Door 1. Okay, let's see if that works, right? Seems like a simple interaction. It should be fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it'll be done compiling in a second. There we go. So door 1 should be the one on the left, but we'll try them all. Okay, nothing. No, there's a reason for that. All right. Now, there's a couple of things that we're gonna do. Let's do. Okay, a mouse cursor event. Like, I need to sort of break this down for you a little bit. We have to ask the question. Well, how does it know where the mouse cursor is and what object to interact with, right? There's a physics piece involved where, like, where the mouse cursor is, it's projecting, like, collision through the world, right? So to check if it runs into anything. And so basically if it runs over something, it has to give you that back. But, door 1 was the middle one anyway.
Does door 1 not have anything to hit at this point?
That is correct, sir. So what we need to do is add...
hitbox?
Yep. We add a box collider.
Yeah.
Right? And we tell this box collider that it's a trigger, because we don't want anything else to actually run into it. We don't care. Now, a box collider doesn't necessarily mean that it has physics, by the way. But it does mean that the doors, will know about each other.
Right.
I'll show you that later.
Right. Box collider is now part of the door.
Correct. So
you can't collide into it.
Yes. So that should help us.
I have a question because I know I've worked with that before. You can use like a custom size or custom shape collider as well. Is that right?
That's correct.
When you use the box, does it go around the object perfectly, or do you still have to mess with the dimensions of it and things like that?
So
it's in the middle right now, right?
Yeah, it's correct. So this green thing became the box collider. So what it tries to do when you add one of these colliders is to auto fit whatever you're trying to stick it on. If we had picked a different collision shape, like say a capsule or a sphere, it would have used this object as its guideline to build itself further. There, it gets you kind of close, right?
Got it.
They did add this new nifty button down here these days, which is Edit Collider, and that means that I can now. Where's the gizmo? Is there a gizmo? I can now do things to this collider, which is there we go. For some reason, you might want to. Oh, no, I don't want that. Wait, where's my? Oh, it wouldn't let me undo. Strange.
That's weird.
Sorry.
You're doing this in real time, man. This is how it is.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, there we go. Edit collider, right? And so somewhere in here is the...
No? It should be like little handles, right?
I thought so. I've actually never done this because I've never had to do an edit collider. I usually just do it a different way.
Maybe it's if you don't pick a box.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you can edit it.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna fuck with it right now. If you want a custom shape, you build the custom shape that you want, right? Or you tell it what mesh to use. So like we'll get into that more when we do
different shaped objects.
Well, when we get into physics.
Okay.
So when we get into actual physics, it'll make a big difference. But for boxes, who cares? So let's do this.